Ladies and gentlemen, with the motto "Fighting the epidemic like fighting the enemy," in rhetorical situation, whenever the country needs, youth union members and young people are always the pioneer. In the past few days, a large number of Tay Ninh youth have volunteered to go to epidemic-hit locality to join the ropes of COVID-19 poised to stop. To contribute their youth, together with all levels and urgency, the youth chose hands to fight against the COVID-19 epidemic. The following column will have recorded the activity of Tay Ninh youth take the lead in the fight against COVID-19 epidemic. Now we come to the story.
In the past time, promoting the role of young volunteering, Tay Ninh Provincial Communist Youth Union has launched and implemented many activities and movements in order to mobilize the participation of young people in various activities of COVID-19 prevention and control. These results are positive and remarkable signs in a difficult context due to the impact of the pandemic. We have made propaganda in many different forms about the province's epidemic prevention and control. We have launched movements to contribute to the pandemic prevention funds also. Even for young people, we have also launched movements suitable for them, such as raising piggy banks to support pandemic prevention and control. We also mobilize resources to take care of the force on duty, as well as take care of household in difficult circumstances. We mobilize the volunteers to participate in tracing and sampling activities in the health sector and also send volunteers to operate at the checkpoints in localities. In this time, this is the big period to mobilize the volunteers to participate in pandemic prevention and control. On July the 12th, Secretary of the Provincial Communist Youth Union Hoàng Thị Thanh Thủy called on union members and young people in the whole province to register and to participate in volunteers activities to prevent and control the COVID-19 pandemic. On 2 days after the call, the Provincial Youth Union has mobilized the registration of a large number of volunteers. Through consultation and selection, the Provincial Communist Youth Union met a list of 100 volunteers and sent it to the Department of Health for distribution to localities and units. These volunteers will be directly responsible for taking samples for COVID-19 testing and tracing procedures when there are local COVID-19 cases. With the mobilization, we found many touching things among the volunteers. Many of you are just 16 years old, and you are not 18 years old to be able to participate in the volunteers activities at our request. And there are those who have families, have small children, are far away, but they still send messages to the organizing committee to register to participate. There are brothers and sisters who cannot directly participate in the required tasks, but they also volunteer to stand behind and ready to support vehicles to transport goods and food to the isolated households and the waste to checkpoints. And those, I consider this is success and mobilize the unity of the whole political system and the own class of the young people, especially the youth of the Tay Ninh province. Before leaving for the mission, the volunteers were carefully trained by the doctors and nurses of the Center for Disease Control CDC in Tay Ninh province with necessary skills and knowledge to both ensure the effectiveness of the work and to ensure the effectiveness of the mission. The results of tracing and sampling work while ensuring the safety of disease prevention and control for volunteers themselves. Up to now, the Provincial Youth Union has coordinated with the health sector to organize 2 training sections on sampling for volunteers. In the near future, the Provincial Youth Union will edit this document to conduct a video clip to guide you how to wear the protective suit as well as steps in the sampling process so that you can regularly review during volunteering. While surfing Facebook, by chance I saw a letter from Provincial Youth Union to mobilize the young people to join in the fight against the pandemic. As a medical student, during this time I am also on vacation, so the time is quite convenient for me to participate in epidemic prevention control. And fortunately, my family is also quite supportive with this decision of mine, so I did not face many difficulties. Currently, the pandemic situation in my province is complicated. I think that I can help my province. I will help by my best. We must join hands and contribute to fighting against the pandemic as quickly as possible. And this is also my opportunity for me to contribute to the country. When I decided to volunteer as I planned my work, I also asked my parents' opinion to give it anyway, and I talked to my family many times, and my family is willing to accept it. I decided to go. I am a resident of the Tay Ninh province, so if I can, I will have. Although I am not too old, but still have the strength to work, still have the health, and I can still serve, I will serve. Before participating in the training section, I could not imagine what I would do in any pandemic work. But after the training sections, I have a better understanding and feel more secure and safe when participating in the training. Participate in the fight against the pandemic. Until the training section was brief, it conveyed a lot of concise and useful content for ensuring the safety of the volunteers participating in achieve the best effect in the fight against the pandemic.
Đảm bảo an toàn cho các bạn tham gia cũng như là đạt hiệu quả tốt nhất trong công tác chống dịch.
At first, my family was also worried. My family didn't want to, but after talking and convincing my family, my parents were willing to reassure and finally agreed to let me go. After 2-day training sections, I will return to inform my parents about the safe actions so that they can feel much more secure and don't worry about my helping to the society. After the training section, the next step of Provincial Youth Union will do is to call the volunteers to confirm the information again to make sure you participate or not. The Provincial Youth Union noticed that you participated very actively, and many of you, after completing the training, met privately with the Provincial Youth Union and asked Provincial Youth Union to let them go early so that they can join the forces to perform well the pandemic prevention and control in the locality.
Các lực lượng chức năng thực hiện tốt với công tác phòng chống dịch tại địa phương.
Not only stopping at 100 people participating in the training, but in the near future to meet the requirements of the whole industry as well as the requirements of pandemic prevention control. No matter how many volunteers are needed, we will also count and gather as much as possible, so that as soon as needed, we can immediately provide forces to participate in the prevention control of the pandemic and respond to the complicated developments of the pandemic also. After being fully equipped and trained with skill and knowledge, on July the 18th and 19th of 2021, more than 70 volunteers officially set out to receive tasks in locality. There the pandemic mostly outbreak in Human Châu district and Trang Bang Thao, and after arriving the localities, the volunteers will continue to be allocated to the points to carry out the tracing work and take sample to the COVID-19 testing at the points, checkpoints, station exercise and mobilized by the medical sector at the locality. During the time you perform the task, the Provincial Youth Union will also continue to care about you. We will establish the caption in the chart so that the participants can reflect receipt information and promptly coordinate with the health sector to handle as well as to make more the care and care for the volunteers. And during the time you complete the task, carry out isolation in the locality, the Provincial Communist Youth Union also has solutions to care and support for the volunteers more. And along with volunteers directly participating in tracing and sampling for the task of SARS-CoV-2 in some localities, the Provincial Communist Youth Union has also mobilized hundreds of volunteers, especially the youth, currently participating in prevention control of COVID-19 pandemic at the checkpoints and in the pandemic-affected areas.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's all for today's program. See you next time.